Yo, welcome back to another edition of the Men Who Cry podcast. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, review, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. If you're not doing these things, I have to assume that you got caught slipping during sundress season. On today's podcast, we will have Olisa Azikiwe, who will be coming back on to talking more about the NBA. But I want to do a little breakout pod, a little solo chat with you guys for just a couple minutes because I really wanted to dive into this Jaden Ivey situation. If you guys don't know, I don't know how you wouldn't, because you would have to not be on the internet. Jaden Ivey was waived. He has been making several kind of manic videos, specifically going at LGBTQ community, talking about the NBA, celebrating that, calling out different players in the league that aren't on his team. If you read any of the reporting that has come out from this, from both the Detroit Pistons and from the Chicago Bulls, it seems that Ivy has been doing this for like a couple of years now. And there's so many tentacles of this story that I think need to be addressed. I think the first thing that I want to talk about first is just the fact of simply how brain rotting social media can become, and how I think Jaden, unfortunately, has found himself to be another victim of what is constantly plaguing us as a society, which is too many people having too many opinions about too many different things. And his whole rants basically haven't really mean anything. And I can just imagine the amount of pressure that this guy is under, right? Yes, we can get into how much money he has, made in his career. But at the same time, I don't think I think fans were expecting him to be out the league at age 24. He was the 5th overall pick in the draft, in a draft that a lot of people wanted him to go. I vividly remember the Knicks, the whole rumor around it was the Knicks were doing everything they could to trade up to draft this guy. His rookie year, he ends up playing 74 games. He averages 16 points a game. The next season, he plays 77 games. He averages about 15 points a game. And then his career takes a kind of really, weird shift, right? He's playing for the Pistons. They're coming off a horrible season the season before, but they're having a really good start to the year. And he's contributing a lot to the winning. But 30 games in, I'll never forget this game, he breaks his leg against the Sacramento Kings. And it's so interesting because I think a lot of times that basketball players, they tend not to really break bones. If they break a bone, it might be like in their hand. You see some guys get hit in the face. I remember Westbrook broke like his cheekbone at one point in the playoffs, right? Like breaking your nose happens a lot of times. But breaking your leg, I feel like, is a very rare injury. Thabo Cephalosha, he broke his leg, but not on the basketball court. Shout out to the New York Police Department for that one. And I think not only does his career change, but the Pistons' career trajectory changed as well. Arthur Thompson got in the starting lineup. And then if you look at it, the Pistons have been, one of the best teams in the league ever since that moment. And Ivy's career kind of went, pretty sideways. He only played in 4 games with the Bulls. He started 3 of them. I mean, he averaged 11.5, 4 and so rebounds, couple assists. And he basically got shut down for pain, essentially, in his knee. And I'm fascinated to see the kind of generation that Jaden Ivey is growing up in, because if you look at every statistical number, right, Gen Z is becoming way more conservative than the generation prior to that, and millennials. And not just that, they are very, very, very Christian. And his almost outburst of trying to display his Christianity onto people, I think, overwhelmed him. And I think it made him get to a place where he simply couldn't handle it. There was reports back in Detroit where he was asking reporters, allegedly, would they had sex before they got married. These are reporters. There's also reports about him going in the locker room. And frankly, here's the thing that is a little dirty secret about sports, right? There are a lot of very, 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 very Christian people that play sports. There are also a lot of gay people that play sports, right? And obviously, you can have a Venn diagram of being Christian and being gay. This is not a conversation about that. But my point of this is that you find people in all walks of life who are probably some of the most heinous people that you would ever meet, right? Cheat on their wives, do very terrible things to their partners, lie, cheat, and steal. And they are gainfully employed in several different leagues. Simply put, because they can play. At the end of the day, this business, there's really two things that we talked about that you can't be in professional sports, right? This kind of goes back to a little bit of the Chris Paul conversation we had before, right? You can be a great guy and you can be a great basketball player, right? You can be a bad basketball player and you can be an asshole. The problem with Jaden Ivey was it wasn't the fact that he was perceived to just be an asshole. He was a bad basketball player. And those two things will never work in any professional sporting range. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of guys who agree with everything that Jaden Ivey said. To a T. I mean, we saw Travion Henderson, after what happened, posted some random Bible quote right after all the news came out about Jaden Ivey. We saw Daniel Gafford. I think he had like a Jesus shirt on or something like that, and said or he said something about like, you got to be strong Christian. Like he's basically giving a tacit support of what Jaden Ivey is. I don't think what he said was, frankly, things that weren't believed by a lot of people in various locker rooms. He's not very good. And I think him making these manic, outlandish, not really knowing where things are going statements is, bro, you made it too hot in the locker room. And that's ultimately sacrosanct. And if you're constantly challenging your teammates and you're constantly getting on people's nerves and you're constantly making situations worse and you can't play, you can't be around on the team anymore. And so ultimately, that is the reason why he was waived and he's no longer on the team. But to him specifically, I think that this is a time where I think a lot of people look at it and say, I hope that he has friends and family around him. I hope he has friends and family around him because he's going through a lot. Looks like he's going through a lot in this moment, right? And I simply wonder if he actually does. You know? I can only speak to how I would react if I see someone that I know having a manic situation in a public setting. He would not be on his phone as much as he has been. Like, he has been on his phone and doing podcasts like nonstop since this has happened. So the people who you think are the closest to him might not be the best equipped to handle him in this type of situation, right? Which goes back to, I don't think there's any, I don't think the Bulls are getting off scot-free with this whole situation, right? While, yes, he is ultimately an employee of you, and even if you feel the need, we have to sever ties with this young man because he is doing something detrimental to our team, ultimately, this is someone that you brought into your organization and was clearly having these types of issues before. I mean, if you're reading the Athletic article talking about Jaden Ivey saying that he contemplated taking suicide, taking his own life. And if this is all known, the Bulls have every obligation to help this man seek help. Now, I can't say if they tried and he refused to. That's information that we do not know, so I will not go that far and say that statement. But it doesn't seem like they did anything to try. And him having this kind of manic moments, I think, are very much on the Bulls as well. Because not everybody has the type of friends and family that you and I have. And it is something where his basketball career, his NBA career, by all accounts, seems to be over. Just because he never seemed to be a guy to be able to be like a level of a star. The thing that people have to realize a lot of times is about professional sports is there are about, in every professional sport, 20, I would say 12 to 20 guys that you absolutely need. Absolutely need these guys to keep the product selling. Everybody else, y'all are just the others on the cast set. You know, there's a reason why they have a draft. There's a reason why they have free agency. They constantly funnel through new people in the league because they constantly just need new people to be on the stage. And if you're not good enough to be on there, they will cut you and they will find a way to get you up out of here. And so I do think his NBA career is over. I do not necessarily think his basketball career could be over, right? There's other leagues. You can play in multiple different leagues around the world. And again, this man was once the 5th pick in the draft. Like, this was very much considered one of the best prospects coming out of his class when he declared for the draft. But with all that aside, the basketball, this doesn't matter if his mental isn't right. And I really do hope that there is someone in his life that can help him get through this. And seeing that his phone has ultimately cost him millions of dollars. And as much as people are going to crap on him and talk about the disgusting things that he said, I think there's times for that. But I also think there's times to recognize that this man is having a real breakdown and he needs help. And hopefully the message of all of this is that it does not matter how much money you make. It does not matter how glamorous your job is. People still struggle with everything that normal people do in every walks of life. And everyone needs help once in a while. So I really hope that once again that this man is able to seek help. He has 3 young kids. I hope that he is in their lives for a very long time and he's able to turn his life around, whatever that may be. Because just because you are not a basketball player does not make you any less of a human being. All right, back in it. Just Olisa Azikiwe, how are we doing today, sir?
We're good. Having a good hump day. Having a good start of the month. You know, happy April or happy April Fools, whatever you celebrate.
However you celebrate it.
Yeah.
Is this your unofficial first day of spring?
For me, with the weather, you never know. But I say, yeah, April feels more of a spring month now. Yeah. March is always like bipolar in terms of like where the weather goes. But yeah, April definitely feels like, you know what? It's Easter month. Pastel colors are out. Flowers are blooming. I'm in DC. It's peak cherry blossom time.
Cherry blossom, yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I would say April is the official start of spring.
Yeah. I've realized that I did a ranking last podcast of the best sports months of the year. And I think April's number 1. And I think it barely beat out. And I combined these two because I don't think the start of October is as good. But if you take like the last 2 weeks of October and like the first 2 weeks of November, it's great. You can have a sports equinox day, which I will say should be, anytime we have those, should be a national holiday.
Yeah.
It's gotta be.
I agree.
4 sports going on at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A country with so many sports, you might as well like go all in and like make it an official holiday. I would say, I like that question, but it always depends on the overlaps of the events that are happening within the month in order to like properly rank which month is the best. April is good because you have 2 sports in the playoffs. You have the championship of college basketball. MLB, I think that's more like nostalgia for if you want to look at how it compares to like the overall popularity as we look at the different sports leagues. But people love opening day. Just like again that nostalgic time for them.
NFL draft.
NFL draft is a good one, but it's weird to give it to April when you have, because like NFL is so popular, you would think like it would need the month that at the top should need to be like have the NFL playoffs or the Super Bowl or something, if we were.
So that was the thing. The way I looked at it was, I thought of it as a combination of you had all those things, so you're giving more variety to what's happening. The NFL is represented by the draft.
That is true.
That was also my other part. But the also part is that for most of the country, you're getting out of the worst weather of all time. And sports, to me, my ethos of sports is very much should bring people together. You're not bringing people together in 20-degree weather. Like, I don't care what the sporting event is, it's going to be tough. You can definitely get people outside in 65-degree weather, the coldest, right? Like, so that's why I gave it to April. Again, those 2 weeks in October, November are also great.
Yeah.
The January is low key a good one because you have the college football playoff and you have playoffs. And you have the NFL playoffs happening at the same time. And so that December, like if you want to do the same thing, that end of December, like Christmas time,
right,
into like the college football playoff, that 4-week span, that's good too. Yeah, but I think April's kind of got it on its own.
The way you explained that and me thinking about it, you might be right. I don't know. I think the international sports, like when you have the World Cup year or Olympic years, might throw that out of whack, especially this year with the World Cup. You could probably throw in June in there as well. Or I actually don't remember what the calendar is for the World Cup.
So funny enough, I looked this up because I was planning on, we're trying to get a soccer guy on at some point.
Yeah.
Ends July 19th. It's from June 11th to July 19th for 5 weeks.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, June is a contender this year. But
yes, this year. I say that the sports calendar kind of goes from January is good. We're good through February. We're good really until the All-Star break. Then we have the what's wrong with the NBA. The NBA sucks. Yeah. The ratings are terrible. What's happening? March Madness, we're doing good. Exactly. April, we are ejaculating. It's going great. And then basically we just need to be able to carry us until September. Like what gets us all the way to September, right? This year we're good because we have the World Cup that goes till normally like my birthday is July 20th. Around that time, that's when it falls off a cliff, right? This year we at least carry it to that point. We fall off a bit, and then September we kind of Labor Day we spike back up.
Yeah, I mean, football fans would say August. Just get them all the way to preseason, and they're
preseason
straight.
Training camp. Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, definitely like June, July are usually like the dog days for. If you don't like baseball, it's usually the dog days for sports fans. But yeah, April also Masters. So that gives you another section of the sports fan audience right there. So yeah, I think April is a good power ranking of number 1 for now.
Got you. Listen, we had a whole nice discussion about the months of the calendar.
Yeah, there we go.
We also are going to do something here where I'm going to throw out to you my rankings, a little bit Bill Simmons style, of contenders and pretenders. We're going to do all of the playoff teams. As you talk about them, I will also be giving you their statistical profile and telling you why I think they are going to be somewhat of a pretender or a contender for this year. I'll tell you who has in my tiers. We have tiers. All right. Are you ready for this?
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Okay. We're going to start at the very bottom, the last tier, the big tier. It's one team in this tier. It's the we hate our coach tier. the Orlando Magic. I can't make heads or tails with this team. They are currently in the play-in. They have essentially been in the play-in. I think every year the play-in has been in existence that they have made the playoffs.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's between them, Miami, and the Hawks.
Oh, listen, the Hawks are the play-in invitational team every year, man.
Exactly.
Like, I do not think that we can even have the play-in if it is not sponsored by the Atlanta Hawks with State Farm. You know, Trae Young. At least Trae Young's not even there to
right
to represent. But I have the Magic here. They have been up and down all season. I think that their best player is Franz Wagner. He has been in and out the lineup since he got that knee injury or ankle injury back in January.
You dropped a hot take right there. You taking Franz over Paolo?
Yeah, I don't think Paolo. I think I have someone because I am someone who I do not like to just steal ideas. I like to give credit for it. There's someone on Knicks film school who calls him Julius Randle with better PR. If you look at we are in the efficiency era, right? Everyone wants to talk about how efficient everyone is. Again, I tell you, these nerds would have hated Kobe if he was playing today.
Yeah.
Go look at all his advanced stats numbers. They're not good. Okay? He takes a lot of long twos. He doesn't hit a lot of threes, and he turns the ball over a lot. Okay? I think that this team is better if it's just Franz and without Paolo than it's when it's with Paolo without Franz. I think when they're together, it can get kind of clunky just because I don't think Paolo knows exactly what to do with the ball all the time. And they have and again, we don't, we simply do not make the Chris Paul point guards anymore. So like those guys are gone. So everyone's like, your forwards are going to need to be more in the LeBron James, the Kawhi Leonards, the Kevin Durant worlds where it's like, I can at least for stints run the offense. And I just don't think Paolo has ever shown to be that level of creator. And yes, I think that they are a better team. I don't even think that's really, in my mind, that much of a hot take that Franz rather is a better player.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that. Didn't mean to cut you off, but I think because Paolo has, like you said, great PR, has that Duke lineage and just overall bigger brand compared to Franz. I think, a lot of people will lean that way. Some people might even say, in terms of style of play, Paolo is much, when he's hitting his shots, much easier on the eyes to watch. But yeah, I would also lean towards Franz. I think better playmaker, probably as good or at least as efficient or much more efficient as a scorer. And Paolo has the size advantage, but also Franz is not that small either. So yeah, that was always a debate in terms of like, everyone's always saying the Magic plays better when one of them are out. And so it's always like, which version of that team is the best? The Franz-led team or the Paolo-led team? And I think we can say at least it's the Paolo-led team that has bigger ceiling or higher ceiling. And it feels like at least the coach currently likes Franz or is more partial to Franz than Paolo, or at least he's just beefing with Paolo more. But as to your point, like, I don't know if the whole team hates the coach, but definitely there's this rift between him and Paolo. But yeah, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, it's not even just that. It's just like I just think the vibes for the team is all off, right? Like they made this big trade for Desmond Bane. He's actually been pretty good.
Their best player?
I mean, during the season,
at least the most consistent.
He's definitely been their most consistent player. They have talent. Their issue for a large portion has just been all their guys get hurt. But Suggs has played a lot. Paolo's played a lot this year. The only guy that we just mentioned that has missed a lot of times was Franz.
Yeah.
And yet they look like they're going to be the 8th seed if they even make it out of the play-in this year. And they're going to get thunder-stomped by either Detroit or by
Boston,
the Celtics, right?
Yeah.
So I just think that they've kind of peaked and they're going to have to, unfortunately, pull we can't fire the players, so we got to get rid of the coach lever. And I would not be surprised. I mean, we have a couple of games left, so like maybe it would be crazy, but like, do you think there's a chance they could fire the coach before the playoffs even start?
I don't think so. Like the comparison would be looking at what happened with Memphis and the Denver Nuggets. What was that, a year ago or 2 years ago?
Was literally last year.
Yeah, true. So yeah, that would be like the comparison to look at or the history to look at. And it's not as similar because with Memphis, there was a rift between, I guess it was almost similar. There was a rift between Ja and, well, I can't remember. I feel like Ja liked Taylor Jenkins It was more so a
Well,
rest.
he liked Taylor Jenkins, but I guess they hated remember when they were running
The
that
offense,
like they don't
yeah,
run
was from the
the
new
offense
coach.
they're running.
Yeah, the new
Yeah.
assistant coach. Yeah. And I think Taylor Jenkins wasn't a fan of the new. I mean, it wasn't his offense, but he, being the head coach, had to, install it because I think it came from higher up, from the GM and management, that they wanted a different style of play. So yeah, I don't know. But like then with Denver, that was more head coach and GM not getting along. And I guess the owner was like, I'm tired of seeing you both argue. You both are out. So wait, was that the case? I forget if the GM
No,
stayed.
that was the case. They were basically like, yo, I'm tired of this. You guys are both out.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I would say Paolo is not as big of a star as Ja, so I don't know if he has to pull to get his coach fired. But they did pay him. They also paid Franz. So if you're looking at financial pressure, like in terms of like, do we stick with the star we already gave the bag to, or we go with the coach in terms of kicking him out? I think sports always tells you it's always the coach that gets the short end.
Exactly. Do never underestimate the ability for franchises to scapegoat their coach.
Yeah.
They will get that man up out of there if they need to get like, what? Someone getting fired? We pointing at him. And he black? Please. they getting him up out. I'm sorry, your name is what? Jamal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We know what time it is. Come on,
That's
man.
Funny.
They have not culture appropriated the name Jamal from us as of yet. As we have taken Tyrone, apparently, listen, I'll say this. We might be losing the name Jalen's.
Really?
Jalen might be going away. Yeah, I don't know.
In terms of what?
In terms of, if I say the name Jalen, don't say it out loud. What image came into your mind?
Okay.
It came into your mind. Now, if I said the name Steven, what image came into your mind? I think the Jalen image. Exactly. I think that Steven image is going to be a lot closer to what that Jalen image is going to be a couple of years.
Okay. I think I'm picking up what you put in now.
Okay. Shout out to the song because they all got white mamas. But the statistical.
I do have a question though. In terms of like, we talk about scapegoating the coach. Do you think with Orlando in this situation in the roster, do you think it's more so just finding the right coach, or do they need to actually shake up the roster?
Although
they might not be able to.
I do not think that. I'm more interested to see if Franz can become like a superstar. I do not think that they have a number one on their team. I think that's fair.
Bomani
Jones once said they got a lot of low spades. And I think that they are a good team.
Yeah.
And I think that they have to shuffle the decks for it. But do I think they have like a guy on that team? No, I don't. And unfortunately, that's somewhat the problem with teams like that. Free agency isn't really a thing anymore, but when guys don't want to play there and you don't have MVP candidates, if you don't have an MVP candidate on your team, then you're not going to win the championship. You're not going to put yourself in a chance to win the championship, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, none of those guys are on that team. Like, I like Franz. Do I think Franz can be play like one of the 5 best players in the NBA? I don't think he's that good. And they want Paolo to be that, but Paolo's been in the league 6 years now, right? He was in the 2020 draft, right? Or the 2020? No, he was in the 2021 draft. So this is 5 years.
Yeah, I want to say 5.
He was in the draft right after Ant draft. Because he was number 1 pick, and then it was Chet, and then it was Jabari Smith. Ooh, Lord. But Orlando's statistical profile for the year, they're 40-35. They have a 115 offensive rating, which is 18th in the NBA. I think this is their biggest problem. They have a 114 defensive rating, which is 13th in the NBA, and they need to be good defensively.
Exactly.
They're essentially a 500 net rating team. They're plus 0.3. They have a pretty regular home record at 24-14, and they're under 500 on the road. The biggest problem with them, the biggest good thing for them is that they shoot a lot of free throws, which makes sense because they are just throwing their bodies around all the time for this. But they have a lot of wings, and
big guards.
big guards, and their main guard has played football, and he plays basketball like he played football, and he's just throwing his body around. But that
I
is
do like Jalen Suggs. I just wish he had a jumper.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of Marcus Smart.
Yeah, well, see, again, like they have very much a lot of the Boston Celtics kind of vibes to them.
Exactly.
But maybe not like that guy on the Boston Celtics, like a Tatum level. But again, like these guys are still young. It's Orlando. Mm-hmm. It's a good time. Let's see if that's just the way it is. But I think that Jamal Mosley is very much his job is done. Unfortunately. Moving on.
I remember I was going to say, I remember when they were calling the Hawks like the Warriors of the East, when Trae Young still had potential. And this kind of reminds me of, I mean, they're both in the East, but like how people were saying, oh, Franz and Paolo can be the next Tatum and Brown. And yeah, it's showing that like it's not that easy. It's easier said than done in terms of like crafting a team and hoping your two best player can turn into what Boston was able to do. And yeah, this is coming from a Lakers fan. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard to win. Obviously, it's hard to consistently be good. And apparently for the Magic, it's hard to keep your stars on the court. And
yeah,
it's a lot of changes that's going to be happening in the offseason for them.
Next category I had. We don't need them in the play-in.
Okay.
It's the Warriors and the Blazers. So the Warriors profile right now, they're under 500. They're essentially going to be the 10 seed in this.
Yeah.
They are 19th in offensive rating, 15th in defensive rating. They have a dead even net rating. And they put up about 114.9 points per game. This team has been hurt a lot, basically. Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Pods, and Draymond Green have missed all significant time. They traded away Jonathan Kuminga, who is playing somewhat decently for Atlanta Hawks team that is thriving. We're going to get to them in a bit. And I don't really know what to do with the Warriors at all. They're old. They're not very athletic. They're also very short. I don't know if you saw this stat. They had a statistic of like one thing. It was one thing that every single team has in the league that no other team has, and the Warriors have the most guys under 6'3" on their roster.
Wow.
And that's shocking in an NBA now where you need to have like big wings. So
exactly.
Starting with the Warriors, how do we feel about how their season has gone so far, and how do you feel about them heading into the playoffs now?
The Warriors, they started out with like, we were going to have this like last push, like, the old man still got it type of season. And let's see, put the ball out there, use our IQ and Steph's great ability to shoot the three and gravitate the defense, and like we'll see what happens. And then obviously once Steph goes out, that changes all that thinking, all that plans. And like you said, in a league that prioritizes size, and like size is essentially the meta, if you don't have size at least the wing and the center position now, you're just going to get dominated essentially, like whether that be in the paint, whether that be on the boards, defensively, even offensively, is just your inability to get to the line consistently. And I feel like I'm describing what the Warriors are, especially without Steph. So, and even they didn't really get to the line or defend the paint as well with Steph, obviously. And like Draymond's, in year 14, it's the old man doesn't have it anymore, is what I'm trying to say. And
yes.
Yeah, they could use the earlier break by having the season end early.
Yes. Do you think it's over for, like, this is over for them, right? Like this era,
the current iteration of the team?
The current iteration is just done, right?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, they haven't re-signed Steve Kerr, so that kind of feels obvious, or at least like a big red flag. Steph is still under contract, so it's like, you're not going to trade Steph unless he wants to leave. So that all depends on what he wants to do. Draymond is like 50-50, either he forces his way out or the team's like, you know what, we're good, and like see what they can get for him on the market. But yeah, they just need more of everything. So They need more shooting. They need more size. They need more defenders. So they're a team that should be blowing it up. It's just you have the franchise all-time player still on the roster, and you kind of owe it to him not to, I guess, do what the Lakers did to Kobe in his last few years. But
I want to look up
scenario too.
I want to look up their salary cap for next season because I agree with what you're saying. I think a lot of this for them is kind of what happened because I think a lot of people want it to be the Tim Duncan run, right?
Right.
The Spurs never lost more than 32 games a year at any point outside of obviously shortened seasons. And they were able to still get Tony Parker late in the draft. They still get Kawhi, Kawhi was like a borderline lottery pick or whatnot, right? Boris Diaw, like they still kept that team like really, really good when Tim Duncan was aging out. And then when he was just like, all right, I'm done. Yeah. And that I think clouds people's memories of how these things really go. Like Michael Jordan missed the playoffs both times.
Yeah.
Kobe's teams were awful, and Kobe was barely playing. Like this to me reminds me way more of those Lakers teams than it does any of those other teams, right? Like, the Heat team, like those Heat teams with Wade when Wade came back were good, but Wade was barely playing, right?
Right, like what, 08, 09,
yeah, like Steph is still the issue. The hard thing is that despite the Kobe that I just mentioned, or Wade at the end, or even Tim Duncan, Steph, if he plays, is still an all NBA caliber player. He just doesn't play as many games anymore. And so I think that they are absolutely on the hook for just a team that I don't think they can blow it up. I'm looking at it right now. Steph Curry signed through next season. Jimmy Butler got a 2-year extension, getting $54 million plus a year. Chris Stapps is Chris Stapps is an expiring contract, so they'll make, a little salary relief. But then they also got Moses Moody on the first year of a 3-year extension, and he just tore his patella tendon. So it's not just the fact that they have guys that are making big money who are older. They have guys making big money who are older who aren't going to play. And I just think that that's going to be way, 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 way too much for them. I mean, right now they're roughly $16.8 million over the luxury threshold for next season. And they're going to take a $65 million cap hit for that. I know Joe Layup likes a lot of money. I know the Warriors have made him a lot of money. They are just a team I am keeping my eye out for. Maybe they are the team that are going to try and really push a lot of stuff for Giannis. Right. And if you're the Warriors, you might just be like, screw it. And if I'm the Bucks, that's absolutely team number one I'm trying to get. Older superstar, a bunch of older players, future draft picks. Deal. So
not yet. That is definitely a good match. Definitely for the Bucks standpoint, because once you lose Giannis, you have to start tanking. Not to use the T word, but like you're in Milwaukee, you're not going to really be signing people. You don't have to draw of Giannis still on the roster if you lose them or trade them. So yeah, it makes sense to trade to someone like the Warriors who are kind of desperate to still have that last push, especially again with Steph still on the roster. So yeah, that's a good point right there in terms of those two being likely trade partners.
We can slide over to the Blazers. I don't have that much to talk about the Blazers outside the fact that good season. The coach got fired for gambling to start the year. And mind you, that's like the 10th craziest story that happened this year in the NBA. Denny Avdia, good season for
All-star. Yeah.
All-star. They crashed the glass. That is why they are winning a lot of games. But they essentially don't really have a point guard. And that is why they lose games. They have the highest turnover rate in the NBA at 17.1%. It'll be interesting to see if they get in. Right now, I believe they are a game back of the 8th seed, which is actually really important for them because that gives you 2 chances to get into the playoffs instead of just 1.
Exactly.
And I think that they would really want that opportunity. But again, this team is drawing dead once they play. Think about this. They're potentially going to be the team that turns the ball over the most going against Oklahoma City, who turns people over the most. Like, that might be as bad as how it was in Memphis last year. So shout out to the Blazers. Good season overall, even though we don't need you in the play-in. Next rung that we have.
I would say, for the Blazers and how their season has gone, how it started and how it's gone, it would be a nice cap on the season for them to actually make the playoffs. It would be a nice happy ending. And for a team that's still kind of young, it would probably benefit those young players to have some playoff experience, or even play-in experience, just like having games of like significance under their belt. I mean, in theory, would be great for them. And I would say even between the Warriors and the Blazers, who would benefit the most from making the playoffs, even though they're definitely either one's going to get shellacked by OKC. I would put my vote on the Blazers in terms of like, just this being some type of significance and a good win for them to be able to make the playoffs, but or even just have a win in the play-in. But yeah, do we actually care in the long scheme of things? No, but yeah.
All right, next grouping, big grouping here that we have. I have everyone's got to get hurt. If I squint my eyes just enough, I can see all these teams in the Western Conference Finals. If I really squint, we have the Rockets, we have the Sixers, we have the Suns, and we have the Clippers. Those are the four teams that we have in the everyone gets hurt. Not on their team, but on the other team. Squint and see them getting to the conference finals. The team I'll highlight to start off with are the Sixers. I don't know if it's just because we keep buying into some level of talent. Something always breaks down with them, but they are playing better. Paul George came back from his mental illness / PED thing, and has played well. Embiid can't stop trolling, said that he was out, but then he was playing, and now he's actually going to play. Maxey is still sidelined with a thumb or finger injury. I think it's pinky. Something with his hand. And I personally do not believe in this team fundamentally, but I think that we are going to get to the time of the year, and it's going to be the no one wants to play team. Will be the Sixers. So how do you feel personally about
the Sixers?
About the Sixers?
Yeah,
going.
I think the no one wants to play them might be an overhype of a title for them, because if I'm anyone, I know all I have to do is just have my players run, because they don't really run. They only have two players that really run, and just compete on the boards, because like Embiid, unfortunately, he's going to wear down, and relying on Drummond is cool for like 20 minutes, but he's not going to win you a series if Embiid is not in the equation. Again, it's just like they're also another old team, so it's kind of hard to rely on an old team in the playoffs. But to give Maxey credit, he is an all-star. He is still young. Him and VJ. I mean, if VJ plays out of his body, then I would be more of a believer that they're a team you don't want to see. But I also think in terms of how they would match up, because like what seed are they currently right now?
They're currently the 7th seed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Okay.
I know they're in the play-in, and that's another thing too. Not even to completely derail this thing, but we need to have this conversation about how the Western Conference is supposed to be so superior than the Eastern Conference. I'm sorry, that is not true. The Sixers are the 7th seed currently. They're a game up on the Magic, who are 40-35. And they're 2 games up on the Heat, who are 40-36, that are tied with the Hornets, who we will get to at 40-36. And all the other teams in the play-in in the West are only a few games under 500. The Suns are pretty set at 42-36, but the Clippers, the Blazers, and the Warriors are all teetering right around 500.
Okay, I hear that, but can't you say that's more of a strength of schedule type of effect? You know, they're playing more Western Conference teams being in the West.
Not really. I would say this. All right, I'm looking at the bottom of the West. The Kings have 19 wins.
Mm-hmm.
The Pacers have 17. The Wizards are 14. They have 17 wins. The Jazz have 21. Like, ultimately, like, I think that the thing about this is that, yes, I think you can argue that the two best teams in the NBA are the Thunder and the Spurs.
Yeah.
And I think most people right now, if you were like, all right, I have to place a chip on who's going to win the championship, I would say that 99% of the chips are going to be on those two teams. But this idea that the Eastern Conference is so much more mediocre than the West, it's just propaganda. There's nothing statistically that says that the Eastern Conference is worse. There's bad teams in the East, there are bad teams in the West. The teams in the play-in for the East are better than the teams in the play-in in the West. Like, there's going to be right now, currently there are 1, 2, 3. The Nuggets will probably get there at 4. You can say there are going to be 6 50-win teams right now in the Western Conference. The Suns have the Suns don't even have a chance. They can't win 50 games.
No, yeah.
There right now are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 teams in the Eastern Conference that are going to 50 games. So I could maybe hear that argument, but at the same time, the Hawks have 43 wins, the Raptors have 42, and the Sixers have 41. And again, so to me, that shows way more parity in the league versus it just being super top heavy.
Okay. I can hear that. I would say yes. I would say the gap between the East and West is not as big as people like to make it out to seem or make it out to be. I will still lean on the side that the West is better. Although I don't know if you will look at the last 15 or even 10 championship winners, like it's probably more even than what people would even think. Let's see, what was this 2015 or 16 would be 10 years ago. 16 is obviously the Cavs. 17 is Warriors. I kind of don't want to count those two because they were so overpowered. But the 19 is the 19 was the Raptors. 20 Lakers. 21 is Bucks. 22 is Warriors. 23 is Nuggets.
24 is the Celtics. 25 is OKC.
So yeah, it's more even. It kind of goes back and forth. I think the West probably has like 1 or 2 edge, so maybe like 6-4. But I still lean with the West. But I can see your point of there's parity throughout the league, which I would definitely agree with that. And you know, there are, I think, because people don't believe that the Pistons can actually win. Is why the East don't get weighted as highly or heavily as the West. But I like the Pistons because like they're playing so well without Cade right now, and even when Duren was out, they were still being competitive. So I think I would definitely say the Pistons are a true contender. You got the Celtics as well, but man, OKC and Spurs, man, they just when they're right, they're healthy, and they're clicking on all cylinders. It looks different, in my opinion.
We'll slide over to those guys in a bit. I really don't have anything else to say about those rest of those teams outside of if Kevin Durant loses in the first round again, there will be some conversations being had. The team that I think is kind of becoming the darlings of the league a little bit. I have them in their own category. 2025, 2026 Indiana Pacers, Charlotte Hornets.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
The Charlotte Hornets. Yeah. The Charlotte Hornets are here and they are here and they are balling. Okay. Yep. The Charlotte Hornets, I think, are one of the teams that I think we just overlooked. I do think that Charles Lee, their head coach, should be getting way more conversation for Coach of the Year.
I would say it hurts his case that they're still the 10 seed, but I think that's more so because they started the beginning of the year so badly that they set themselves up. But I agree, he's doing a great job, at least from the start of this calendar year.
My one argument would be his best player is LaMelo Ball. That would be my argument. Like,
Yeah.
I did not think LaMelo Ball was going to be an actual winning player in any type of way. And he has this guy actually buying in to what's happening on the year. A complete turnaround. They have the best net rating since the calendar turn. They have one of the best records since the calendar turn. Continental is leading the NBA, not for rookies, leading the NBA in threes. I don't have his betting odds, but I feel like he's kind of the favorite to win Rookie of the Year. And Cooper Flag is having an outstanding season for a rookie. And Brandon Miller, I think, while I think the Hornets will obviously always be like, what if we got Wemby? Brandon Miller is still a really good player.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that they have the type of team that's like, okay, not this year. I absolutely think the team that people do not want to see is going to be them. Now, can they get out of the play-in is going to be an interesting kind of factoid right now. Like we said, they're tied with Miami right now for the 10 spot in the Eastern Conference. They are currently only, sorry, let me see where they are. They're 3 games back of 6 for the Raptors. I do not know if they have the tiebreaker with the Raptors or not. And they only have but so many games to play left. I don't think that they'll get out of the play-in, but they absolutely can catch the Magic and the Sixers for 8 or 7. So that is the team that if you're Detroit, definitely Detroit, because they got smoke with them. And especially because Detroit may or may not have Cade by the time the playoffs start.
Right.
So, again, I do not think that the Hornets, I think they're way more of a good story, but I think that this good story can have legs going forward, not just, for this season, but going into next season as well.
I agree. I like that, the Hornets and LaMelo, in my opinion, has always been entertaining basketball, even though it didn't lead to wins, at least in the past 2 or 3 years. But it's nice to see them actually have that entertainment lead to consistent wins and consistent, professional level playing. Even though I'm saying that they're still the 10th seed, like they usually are. But still, it definitely feels different this year compared to the last couple of years of them being the 10th seed. And I don't know. As the standings stand now, I really feel like they can take Miami and beat them in that 9-10 matchup. Because especially if everyone's shooting well, and like Charlotte has a lot of good, capable shooters between Brandon Miller and Continental, and if LaMelo's being, his all-star self, I feel like they have too much for the Heat to handle. But the Heat in that system, and they play defense, so you have to account for that as well. But I don't know. I would say that's more of a toss-up than anything. But like you said, in terms of them like actually making the playoffs, it's going to be tough. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't see them making it or moving up the standings that much. I kind of feel like, I don't know. It all depends on. I feel like I see them staying within that 8 to 10 range. And although Orlando, as we talked before, like maybe the fall keeps falling for them and they fall to that 10 spot. But other than that, they're definitely going to be in the play-in because the Bucks are eliminated. But I believe in them because I like the way they've been playing this year for them to win that 9-10 matchup.
Since January 1st, 28-14. They're first in the NBA in offensive rating at 122 points per game. Defensive rating, they're 5th at 110. But here's the thing. It's not just that they score. They're shooting damn near 40% from 3 for since the turn of the new year. Like they have become one of the best teams in the league. LaMelo, since the turn of the year, about 20 points a game, 7 assists per game. And the starting 5 that they have, LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Continental, Miles Bridges, Musa Diabate.
Moose.
They are 20-2 with that starting lineup with a plus 27.9 net rating.
Yeah.
Like, they have been kicking teams' ass since the start of the year. So listen, I think it would be really tough for them to go ahead and try and knock off again, I don't think they're going to they can't get to 7 essentially unless some things really break their way.
Right.
But if they're playing Detroit, I can see that going 7 games. I really can. And because you have a team of Detroit, again, Cade hasn't played, way more pressure now. Now you have expectations.
Right.
And how do you play with those expectations?
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I know is I've seen JB Bickerstaff in playoff series, my brother.
Yep.
They have not
Just
gone
ask
well.
Donovan Mitchell. Yeah.
Ask Donovan Mitchell. Go ask Jalen Brunson last year. Okay.
True.
Like, it is not always great for what's happening with them. But shout out to the Hornets for their kind of season. All right, sliding up on the pyramid. We have, if we made it, things broke our way in such a way that the league is not rigged. We have the Minnesota Timberwolves, your Los Angeles Lakers, the Denver Nuggets, and the Toronto Raptors. I'm going to leave Minnesota and the Raptors for a second because I'm curious about this for your Lakers in Denver. Currently, I believe that those two teams will play each other, if I am not mistaken. Let me go ahead and just double
Denver,
check.
Lakers are currently 3.
Not.
Yeah.
The Lakers are currently 3. The Nuggets are currently 4. Right now, It would be the Rockets versus the Lakers. However, the Nuggets are only 1 game up on the Rockets for being 6. Mm-hmm. So it pretty much seems, because the Lakers have the tiebreaker over Denver, the Timberwolves, and the Rockets, they've essentially locked up the 3 seed. They can't catch the Spurs for the 7th seed, or for the 2nd seed, rather.
Yeah, no.
So they are going to be playing one of these 3 teams. 2 of those teams, ironically, have knocked them out of the playoffs in the last couple of seasons. So,
yeah,
I was our resident Lakers fan with coastal bias. Please let us know why the Lakers are going to the NBA Finals this season.
Whoa. Okay. All right. Let me put on my bias, believe in the Lakers hat on, at all costs.
That 59
the Lakers
fitted?
Will make it. Yep. The Lakers fit. LA fitted. Yeah. Lakers will make it to the NBA Finals because, one, they will match up with the Rockets in the first round, and actually no, they will match up with the Timberwolves in the first round, and I think that is their best possible matchup, unless somehow the Suns make it all the way up to 6. But I say all the way up. They're only 2 games back. Or no, they're like 3.5 actually. So yeah, if they make it all the way up to 6, then I'll take the Suns over the Timberwolves. But I think the Timberwolves is the best or most favorable matchup for the Lakers to advance past the first round, because other than Ant, I think, and then Julius, when he's playing good, he can be a good mismatch. But don't believe in Rudy. He can give you anything, especially in the playoffs. They don't really have a point guard that can make you pay. So a lot of the burden is going to be on Ant to not only score, but to also play make. I know Julius kind of puts his hand in there as well as a playmaker, but having those two as your primary playmakers, as compared to Austin Reeves, and I start with Austin Reeves, but he's a great playmaker, and work my way up to LeBron and then Luka. To put it simply, our best 3 is better than their best 3. And so I think that's the best matchup. And then also, they're not as athletic as no, let me take that back, because the Rockets, outside of Amen Thompson, is not really that athletic. But I always feel like the Lakers struggle against teams that have wings that can run and defend. And so, yeah, actually the Timberwolves do have that with Jaden Daniels, who I think is hurt right now, right?
He might. Yeah, I think he got hurt in that Rockets game. The game that they somehow came out of 1. But yeah,
right. I just feel like the Wolves aren't as good as a team as they were the past 2 years, and the Lakers team is much better than the teams that they were in the past 2 or 3 years. So essentially, it's going to flip in terms of that matchup, and so Lakers going to make it to the second round, and then they're going to make it to the Western Conference Finals because the Spurs are too young, and so. Although I kind of don't believe that. But yeah, if anything, the Spurs are too young. This is the first time they were out of the playoffs last year. Now they're top 2 seed. Yeah, this is too much all at once. And we got veterans in terms of Lakers and Luka and LeBron. players that have been there before, who knows how to get those playoff wins, and that's just going to lead them past the young and up and coming Spurs team. And then where we really push it in terms of making it to the finals past OKC, Shea and J-Dub and Chet somehow gets hurt. And you know, and talk about
There's
things
a lot of
breaking our
hoping and
way.
wishing on this.
Yeah. Talking about things breaking our ways.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, that will allow the Lakers to beat OKC in probably 5 games. And
5 games, wow.
Yeah, I mean, losing J-Dub, Shea, and let me put more respect on OKC. It's 6 games.
6 games.
So yeah, with their top 3 players out, 6 games. Yeah, because OKC still plays hard, and they do have a deep roster. So gotta respect that, and great coaching. But yeah, Lakers make it to the finals when all those things break our ways, and fingers crossed on that actually turning out that way.
Wow, that was a lot said there. The Lakers are the only team in the league that have 3 20-point per game scorers, and Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and LeBron James. They are playing a lot better than I expected for them to have. While they're still 20th in defense, and I still think that is going to be the bugaboo for them. They have seemed to find a level of rotation with defensive players and Rui Hachimura. DeAndre Ayton is playing a lot better for them. Marcus Smart. My biggest issue with the Lakers is something that I still feel will be the problem with them going forward. They're relying heavily on a 41-year-old man to play 2 straight months of basketball. And as we have seen,
catching alley-oops now, dunking.
He's catching alley-oops now, yeah. We have seen that LeBron is simply not able to do this for multiple months. And I simply do not believe that they are going to be able to defend the level of wings that they're going to have to guard to get to the finals. Okay, see, that's one thing. The Spurs, way too athletic for them.
Yeah.
That's the top 2 teams. I still think Minnesota can get them. Denver, because they've had a Jokic problem since Jokic has been in the league. Even though this season, it's not really a Jokic problem. It's a Jamal Murray problem as well. Like, he turns into Superman anytime
he plays. It's like he's from LA, but she's not. So it's like, why?
I'll put it on for my, like, listen, you know what I'm saying? He's Canadian. You know what I'm saying? It's the home team. You know what I'm saying? He got to rep. You know? Gotta bang his set or whatever he got to do up there. The Rockets, I do agree. The Rockets, to me, are the team that I think the Lakers would love to see. They're awful in clutch time. The Rockets are awful at it. Whereas the Lakers, I believe, are the best team in clutch time.
Yeah.
This makes a lot of sense. You have 2 elite playmakers and scorers, and when the game slows down, who else would you want to have? Jokic is probably the only player that's in the conversation of who would you want to have, and Shea of the last 5 minutes of a ball game besides Luka and LeBron. You know? So I do think it is not the craziest thing in the world to see the Lakers get to a West Conference Finals. I do agree. I am fully into experience, and just shoehorning the Spurs into the West Conference Finals, I think, is a bit trepidatious. But I still think that the Lakers' flaws are stuff that gets shown over time in postseason play. And I just cannot believe LeBron. Again, this dude, there's only been so many days off, especially the deeper you go into playoffs. You're playing every other day.
Especially the first round.
Exactly. Second round is when you're playing every other day. The first round is when you have the most rest.
Right, you're right.
Second round, every other day you're playing. Until you get to the finals. Obviously, you'll have a couple days off in the finals, but like, you have to play straight basketball for that long. So it's going to be hard for me to believe that a team with a 41-year-old man is going to be able to be efficient in all of those games leading up to, especially when JJ Redick's going to hit that you playing all the minutes button come playoff time. Shout out to Tom Thibodeau. Any more words on your Lakers?
I would like to switch my answer. You made a great case for why the Rockets would be the best possible matchup for the Lakers for round 1. I agree with that. Definitely because their struggles in the half court and the clutch time. So I think that's definitely 2 advantages the Lakers will have and will propel them past the Rockets. I am a little worried, who's going to stop KD. Amen Thompson could definitely do a lot of defensive work in terms of putting him on either Austin Reeves or Luka. But yeah, other than that, I mean, Şengün's going to Şengün. So it's definitely not going to be a wash between him and Ayton. He definitely has the advantage there. But I feel like, yeah, best three over their best three. Definitely Lakers can take on the Rockets and probably win that in 5 games if everything breaks right.
5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
Real quick on Denver. This was a team I had going to the NBA Finals. I was really high on them. I loved all the moves that they did. I don't know if I can believe a team that is ranked currently 24th in defense to go all the way to the playoffs. And part of that is injury. Aaron Gordon missed a bunch of time. Peyton Watson missed a bunch of time.
Yep.
But I also have just
best defenders.
Yes, but I've also seen those guys with those players get dog walked by some of the teams in the league. Now, again, LA seems to always have a Jokic problem. It would be a fascinating series if they're able to play San Antonio. Just to see Wemby versus Jokic of like,
yeah,
I'm here now, old man. Come get this BTA. But yeah, I think that Denver is. I still don't have I'm not fully out on them making the finals. I just have my expectation is much lower for them overall. But how do you feel about the Denver Nuggets of this grouping?
If I remember correctly, they do play OKC pretty well. At least they have in this regular season.
They have. I don't think they've beat OKC this year, but yes, they have.
It's always been close. Yeah. I think I want to say they have maybe 1 or 2 wins on the Spurs. I feel like I remember them beating the Spurs one time. I think Jamal went off one against them. I might be wrong, but because those West Coast games being late at night,
it's tough, man. On the East Coast, man.
Yeah. But in terms of like Denver's ability to be like true contenders, heart of a champion, all that. They definitely need those 2 players we mentioned, Peyton Watson and Aaron Gordon, to be back to their full self, to not only improve their below average defense, but also to have more corner threes and just spacing that Aaron Gordon, who's shooting the ball extremely well before he got injured, and Peyton Watson, who is a capable 3-and-D guy, and also someone to attack or be lob threats for Jokic, because that's another dimension of the offense that they definitely need from Aaron Gordon, and Peyton Watson's pretty athletic too, who can provide that as well. All that being said, they can only go as far as Jamal Murray takes them, because we know Jokic is going to be Jokic. He's going to be his legendary self. But in order for them to be true contenders, they need they need Jamal to be that other guy, the Batman B to Jokic's Batman A, So if he can do what he's been doing into the playoffs, which he is healthy, and he's usually like a playoff riser when it comes to his performance and his stats. So if that can continue to be the case, I can definitely see them matching up, even beating the Spurs, and putting forth a competitive series against OKC.
Agreed. Shout out for you guys being in this tier, Minnesota and the Raptors. We will not be talking about you that much more. All right.
Yeah.
Next tier that I have. And please let me know if you think some of these guys are too high or too low in these tiers. Maybe this is probably where we might get contentious.
Okay.
If shit goes wrong, we getting fired.
Oh.
I have the Knicks and the Cavs in this tier. We can start off with the New York Knicks record of, I had them with 1 extra win. They're 49 wins. I guess they'll win. Oh, I'm sorry, 48 wins rather. They have the 3rd best offensive rating. They have the 5th best defense in the NBA, and they're one of the slowest teams in the league. Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson are both expected to contend for all NBA teams. And Josh Hart is having his best 3-point shooting season of his career. He's shooting close to 40% from the field. Why is it that I think that this team sucks? Like, this is where we put you passed over your blue and yellow or blue and gold glasses. I've traded them in for my orange and blue ones.
So
what knows? I watch this team damn near every time I can. I, for the life of me, can't tell you what the hell's going on with this team. There are times where they are dominant. What I just talked about, the Denver getting smacked, they got smacked by the Knicks a couple weeks ago, and that game wasn't the worst blowout the Knicks had that year. They have the statistical profile of a team that you're like, this team has a chance to win the championship. And I don't know if it's because they play on national television too much. I do absolutely believe that there is some thought to you. It's worse when we see your blowouts. Because everyone gets blown out. Everyone gets blown out. But when we see your blowouts, that's when the conversation needs to get nice and a little spicy.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah. Lakers, how bad their team is. And they have 50 wins. Right? It's you know what I mean? It's like, how bad is this? I still think that they have, kind of like Cleveland, the highest ceiling and also the lowest floor. While Charlotte pretty much can't play them, I would be terrified to play the Hornets in round one. And it's not because I think the Hornets would beat them. I would think it would be a bitch to play the Hornets. And I just think that this experiment is, while no one of the core guys is old, right?
Right.
No one of the
they're all under 20,
starting
under
five.
30. Yeah.
They're all under 30 except for Josh Hart. Josh Hart's 31 years old.
Yeah, he is older.
But all those guys are still in their prime. All these guys are, on decent contracts. The books are looking good. But this team is giving off the Chris Paul Clippers team.
Wow.
It is giving off the injured Derek Bulls team. It's like those teams that you remember,
right? And
you're like, man, those guys were good. They had a couple 50-win seasons, and Blake Griffin finished third in MVP one year. Derrick Rose won an MVP before he got hurt, right? Like, you have all these kind of like vague, like fond memories. But then when you sit there and look at it, it's like, oh, they didn't win a goddamn thing.
No.
Right?
Most
no
times
finals
they didn't make
appearances.
out the
Never made it out the conference. Neither one of those teams. Right? And I think if they don't do it this year, obviously the elephant in the room is potentially the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade, which, and I've said it before, I do not think that I think that is a more of a detrimental trade than I think that is going to be talked about from both a player and a fit aspect. And I feel as if is that this team is way closer to the end of its run than the middle of its run.
Wow.
So how do you feel about my assessment potentially of how the Knicks season is so far?
So by run, are you categorizing it from when Jalen Brunson got there, or does Mike Brown get his own separate iteration, or is
I think it's all. I think from I would say, honestly, Brunson, once he became who he became, not maybe his first year, but that second year, the year they beat Philadelphia, I think that is when it's like, okay, this is kind of the team that we have. And, I'm not going to get too deep into the Hartenstein deal and did they need to trade these guys, blah, blah, blah. But like, ultimately, it's a team that's very talented and they just don't seem like they play well together. And and it's different than the difference from this year and last year was the narrative that you could have pushed was, oh, well, they don't beat the top teams, right? This year they have. They beat the Lakers. They beat the Nuggets. They beat the Spurs. They beat the Celtics, right? They beat all those teams. There's only two teams that they have, well, three teams in the league that they haven't beaten. Then beat Detroit, then beat OKC, and then beat the Suns.
Yeah.
But like, that's the 1%ers.
Yeah.
And so I just fundamentally find that maybe it is the fact that his expectations that are the thief of joy. But yes, that is I think that if they do not make the finals, I think the best case scenario is that they trade for Giannis and they try and run this one more time. I think the worst case scenario is that they fire the GM and they really rip the whole thing apart.
Wow. The GM's
Listen, it's James Dolan, man. Like, he's still the owner. Okay.
True. Mr. Irrational, yeah. I would say they did pick the wrong time of the year to struggle. You know, it's like recency bias. Like, you don't want to go into this time of the year into the playoffs, you know, playing your worst or not looking with the vibes all the way down, which it seems like, especially with Cat. And like you said, being that they're mostly on national TV in terms of most of their games, and we're so close to the playoff, which is like the heightened time for engagement and viewership for the league. It's just they picked the wrong time to go through these trials and tribulations. But it might just be like they're just having a rough road trip right now. If I'm not wrong, like most of the games within the past 4 have been on the road, and like
they've all been on the road.
Losses, right?
Yep.
Going back to
Hornets, OKC, and Houston. Yep. As we record this, they're currently beating the piss out of the Memphis team, who does not want to play. Yes.
Exactly. So yeah, it's a rough West Coast road trip, and then I don't know, because like teams struggle, but like it's the fact that Cat is like sitting 20 feet away from the bench is like why people are like, yeah, blow it up, or like, man, this team is not gonna be able to do it, because like he just got there, you know. Like, this is year 2. Like, how are we already with a new coach already? Like, how are the vibes already this bad? Like, wasn't this why we fired the last guy? So I don't know, but like as a big man kind of like wide receivers, man, when they don't get their touches, everything goes south. So is Cat right to be, you know, bitching and moaning about not getting his touches?
I mean, maybe. If you ask me personally, this goes back to the conversation I was having about Giannis. Like, for all of the faults that people want to give Julius Randle and say Julius Randle is this, Julius Randle is that, Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson were like this.
Yeah.
Those guys played really well together all the time. If you watch the game, statistical numbers, those guys played great together. And I don't know why. I don't know if they don't like each other. I don't know if it's like oil and water. Brunson and Cat have never played well together. They have like, I think a lot of the idea, and at least is what I had, was when they paired those two guys, I was thinking, okay, what we talked about was like little comparisons. Not to the level of Murray and Jokic, but when Murray and Jokic playing, those guys, they sweet music, right? When they won the championship, you're like, they can't stop that two-man action at the top.
Yep.
The Knicks don't run it. That's how bad it is. They don't run it anymore. Yeah. And I don't really know what, like, you know, I don't think they make the other person better. Now, do I think they can still win despite that? Yeah, I don't necessarily think you have to. Like, did LeBron and, again, these are significantly better players. LeBron and D-Wade did not make each other better. They're just really talented. And they played together and then they won the championship, right? Like, I don't necessarily think your two best players have to make I don't think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum make each other better. They're just two really good players. But I do think it is odd that your center and your point guard seem to be so off kilter at times.
Right.
With how it goes. So
yeah. And like going back to the big man, it's like they're the worst type of player to have them not feeling like part of the team and like not have the vibes being high, because like usually that's your rim protector and like your best rebounder. So if they if they don't have the energy and want to do those two things, like your defense is going to definitely suffer, and your overall performance is going to suffer. And like kind of seeing that, especially on this road trip.
Facts. And for the Cavs, a little bit of the same. They are absolutely on the, if we do not make the finals, get to the conference finals, it's over. Like we know it's over. They already made their one move of getting James Harden. There is a conversation of, are they going to trade Donovan Mitchell? Does he want to sign an extension? My boy just married Coco Jones. I don't think that brother wants to live in Cleveland for a very long time. But that's just me. So yeah, that was just kind of like a quick analysis of the Cavs, which is a team that I will continue to say I do not believe in whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree with that. They're one of those teams that, again, that looks nice on paper, and like, well, we have James Harden at the point. We got all NBA 2-guard and Donovan Mitchell, 2 great bigs, and Mobley and Allen. Like, all we need is just someone to consistently make corner threes, and like, we should be set. But they don't always get that, or they don't always get consistent performances from Mobley or Allen. And then, relying on James Harden in the playoffs is a whole nother discussion. So, yeah, I can definitely see, not having too high hopes for the Cavaliers, even though I'm a big Donovan Mitchell fan. And I want the best for him because I feel like he's, again, one of those playoff risers. And he's usually in a predicament where he has to carry his team in order for them to have a chance. So I want better for him, but I don't think it's going to be here in Cleveland.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
Keep renting in Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell. Okay. Second to last tier that we have. It is a party going on in our city. We have the Pistons, we have the Celtics, we have the Spurs in this tier. Pretty much for all three of these teams, I think outside of first round exit, their fans will be happy. Pistons, best season they've had since one of the Chauncey teams, probably. Like we're going back to like 2003, 2004 times.
Probably like since 2007, like the last time they made the Eastern Conference Finals.
Eastern Conference Finals, yes.
Yeah.
Celtics, I had them just being barely 500. They're probably going to be the second best team in the conference. And the Spurs, I mean, Spurs OKC is crazy enough to think that the Kevin Durant, James Harden, Westbrook versus Tim Duncan, Kawhi, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili is just already aged out. And now we have the new version of this going forward with OKC, which is obviously the last team that we're going to talk about. But if you're the Spurs, I mean, you have to be going crazy. You got a guy who's going to win multiple MVPs, multiple defensive players of the years. I think if he is not considered one of the 20 greatest players of all time, if he is not the best player in franchise history, it's a disappointment. That's a franchise with Hakeem Olajuwon, Kawhi Leonard, and Tim Duncan. And George Gervin.
You mean David Robinson, not Hakeem.
Nah, sorry. David Robinson. Yeah. My bad. But still, that's nuts.
Yeah.
And he had the expectations for him to be the best player in franchise history. So of those three teams, is there any of them that really stand out to you for any points for them? Because like I said, I think that they are pretty easy to break down. All three are having great seasons. Absolutely can see all of them winning. Maybe not winning the finals, but definitely getting to the finals. And I do not think any of them are going to lose in the first round.
I definitely would agree with that. I would say the only thing that could spoil the Pistons season is if K's injury is more serious and dire than what it seems to be. Because then, I mean, they'll definitely probably still make it past the first round. But like for a team that's going to finish number one in the East, like you want to at least make it to the conference finals. And like that expectation has been building up all year. In credit to them and their great play. But it definitely will be a letdown if they aren't as healthy as they want to be going into the playoffs and be able to reach their full potential and see what this team can actually be in terms of like what they can if they can make it out the East. So I would say in terms of letdown, that's probably of those three, if any, that are more susceptible to a letdown. I think Boston's not playing with house money, but like the fact that Tatum looks this good already, and that you guys are basically a contender already, after him tearing his Achilles less than a year ago. Be grateful, honestly. like like come on, like to have like too big expectations now is kind of feels like greedy. But it's a city that's used to winning a lot, so probably can't fault them on that. And then Spurs, again, Spurs didn't make the playoffs last year. So
yeah,
the fact that they're this good this soon is they're already on cloud nine in terms of that fan base. And they're definitely going to win the first round matchup because they're already that good. And so I think just being able to do that is probably good enough for them. They're probably a year or two ahead of schedule. So I think that fan base knows that, and they're smart enough to know like they are actually playing with house money in terms of like how good the team is already.
OKC is the last team you want to talk about, but I do want to talk about them, Spurs versus OKC, in a bit. But it's almost like it kind of ties into also the MVP conversation, which is the last kind of topic that we have.
Yeah.
I think that this is one of the best things that could happen to the league. You have the best team statistically, viewership wise, and they have arguably the guy who's going to become the best player in the league, and he hates that team.
Yeah.
He hates them. And what does it mean that Wemby, I don't think he'll be able to steal the MVP from Shea, just because I just don't think they'll be able to catch the Spurs as far as wins.
Yeah, that would be my tiebreaker as well in terms of whether we give him the MVP or not if they catch him. But I don't think he's going to do that.
So how do you feel that this is going to be? Because I do think that this is going to be the West Conference Finals. It's going to be OKC versus the Spurs. Yeah. So how do you feel that the conversation about MVP will be wrapped up between these two teams and these two players?
True. I would say Silver probably wishes those two teams were in bigger markets. They're probably the two smallest markets in the league. But that's just how things work out. You got to be more smart and better at your job when you're not in like Miami or LA in terms of building a roster. So, but as it pertains to the MVP, I think in the truest sense of the word, these two are like your best candidates because like in terms of valuable, who is more valuable and who has a bigger impact on the court than Wemby? Like just because his size and skill set alone allows him to just like be the ultimate mismatch on defense and offense. And then Shea, whether you hate watching the quote unquote foul baiting or not, we're watching a historically great guard, like all-time performance within these last 4 years. And like crazy enough, his efficiency is better this year compared to his last year, which was his MVP year. So again, value is like OKC wouldn't be what OKC is now without Shea and his ability to essentially carry that offense. Because if you look at that offense, like especially if you take out Jalen Williams, it's like who else on that team can actually get their own bucket and like produce the efficiency and production that 80% of what Shea gives you. So pretty much like everyone else on the court can just focus on defending and rebounding and like making open shots because they know they have a guaranteed 30 to 35 points a night in Shea. And then Wemby, like it's the ultimate blanket on defense. So like which allows the Spurs and their guards to play more aggressively. That's why Castle looks so good as he does on defense, as well as Harper when he plays, and Fox is able to hide his quote unquote defensive deficiencies that was kind of like known when he was in Sacramento. That doesn't come up anymore because you got Wemby back there. So yeah, these are both candidates are literally the most valuable players in the league, and the tiebreaker is that Spurs are not going to catch OKC in the rankings. And honestly, even though Shea was hurt a lot, or I think not a lot, but like compared to his past seasons, minutes wise, I think he still is kind of significantly higher in terms of minutes played compared to Wemby, which is I mean, those are two valid tiebreakers for me in terms of minutes plays and like overall team performance.
Yeah, I agree with a lot what you said there. I think having these two teams be so close to each other, I think is actually kind of beneficial for that. And I do think that the foul baiting stuff, unfortunately, kind of takes away from, as you just said, one of the best players in our history, right? Like Shea is already a Hall of Famer, and now he's trying to put together this thing, and it's pretty nuts to think that in a draft that had, if you go back look at that 2018 draft, it's pretty nuts who's in that draft. It's stacked. Luka's in that draft, Brunson's in that draft, Shea's in that draft, Mikal Bridges in that draft, Dante DiVincenzo's in that draft. Like, there's a lot of really, really, really good players.
Trae Young, I gotta say, as someone who lives in DC, is in that draft.
Sure. There's a lot of really good players that are in that draft. And it's amazing that Luka is just not he just doesn't have the same stats. He doesn't have the same palace on the wall as Shea.
Yeah.
And I do think, as much as the foul baiting can get me annoyed and frustrated, I ultimately believe that it does take away sometimes away from how great of a player that he actually can be.
Yeah. It's kind of like what James Harden was, back in the not back in the day, but like I guess back in the day now.
Years ago. Exactly, yeah.
Because like, James Harden's doing 60-point triple dubs, but it's like, man, like that whole rake move of the ball is like, it's so cheesy with the fouls, but can't stop that step back. And like with Shea, you can't stop that midi.
Hits that thing every single time. All right, we are done. We went through all the playoff teams except for the Heat, and that was on purpose. Thank you so much for listening to the Men Who Cry podcast. Please plug the people on your latest Substack, man. What do you got going on?
Thank you for having me again. It's cool to be a repeated guest. I feel at home now. I'm not a stranger anymore. I have a Substack called The Fan Economist, where I analyze and like just piece out and kind of just do some thought process, like creative thought exercises on what I'm seeing in sports and sports business. The most recent one I did was about NBA expansion and like kind of the under talked about story of like why expansion is such a huge on the table now for the NBA. I've listened to Bill Simmons recently, and he was going through his whole case of what, like, he was curious as to why they're pushing for expansion now, and like what's the real reason. And my take on this is like they need additional revenue. They need cash flow because for instance, regional sports networks is a dying industry, and for professional sports, this was something they relied on, especially the individual teams. It was something they relied on for revenue streams for almost as long as we've had cable. So now with there's a situation in Denver like a couple years ago where you could be in the Denver market and still not be able to watch the Nuggets games. That was just another example of like how like bad things have gotten for regional sports because essentially with the presence of streaming, people either don't have cable anymore, which is where most RSNs can be found, or they are finding other means to watch games, if you get what I'm saying. So this loss in revenue is really hitting the balance sheets or the accounts or the bottom line for a lot of teams, that especially if they're not in big markets. And this is what I think why expansion is on the table now, because expansion is just is a influx of money when you are able to bring in two new teams for what they're hoping to be $7 billion to $10 billion each. That's a $20 billion surplus that will be divvied up amongst the existing teams. So that would be probably like $500 to $600 million of extra money that can will be great for teams that are struggling with their regional sports networks not being in existence anymore. So yeah, that is, if you find that interesting, definitely check out my Substack. Again, the Fan Economist or Sports MBA. Search up either one. You should find my website there. And yeah, those are the type of stories I tend to cover. But I'm trying to branch out.
Thanks so much, man, for coming on. Yes, I don't know if you saw that Shams tweet, but the projected NBA cap for next season is $1 million less than what they expected. Don't think anyone else didn't notice that. Big Adam Silver definitely saw them numbers going through. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Men Who Cry podcast. Please like, subscribe, review, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell a friend. And we'll be back talking all this good basketball, sports-wise, and everything in between later on next week. All right, everyone.
See ya.